Welcome back to the Defecation Conversation, the best in the nation, where we talk about nanner infestation. On this podcast, we sometimes like to talk about politics and pressing world issues, and sometimes we like to be funny and goof around. But all in all, we're just here to have a good time and make people laugh. Now, without further ado, let the shit show commence.
Continue as if that didn't just happen.
Yeah.
The issue, like economics wise, with not having a minimum wage is when there's not a tight labor, like if there's not if there is a high unemployment and employers don't have to compete against each other, then you're gonna have cases where employers are simply gonna pay you starvation wages because they can, because there's other people that are willing to do the starvation wages.
Well, I'm not arguing against the minimum wage. I'm just arguing
Right.
against raising the minimum wage to where it becomes inefficient to have human employees.
Sure, but it's already inefficient to have human employees in many cases, right? Like, I mean, there's a reason why jobs are getting exported to Asia,
Vietnam or whatever.
because they will work for less
For
money
cheaper.
Yep.
and probably less money than current technology in terms of automation could do, right?
Yep.
Because technically, if automation really was the cheapest way to produce products, then there would
It
be
would be
no
happening.
employment in manufacturing,
Right.
right?
The problem is that it's like robots and shit are kind of expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel
right
like-
now,
yeah,
now they are, but it's
Right. I think at one point it's gonna be like, okay, like we
course,
don't need
yeah.
retards flipping.
Yeah,
Of course.
They're definitely
Yeah.
driving the cost of that shit down, like day by day.
And
Um,
especially if they use those for long periods of time, it's gonna be much cheaper. I think that's gonna get bad though. Like if all these like Starbucks and all the like, there's no way that like in 10 or 20 years, like I feel like robots can just make fucking coffees. Like there's no like I can't
Well,
see
the-
Starbucks not just being fucking robot machines. You know?
The point with automation is that we're gonna get to a point where all of our basic human necessities are gonna be fulfilled by robots,
Automation.
and
And then all these
essentially be-
people are gonna have nowhere to work. And
Well,
it's gonna be
yeah,
shitty.
but then
So
no,
that's
then
why
we'll-
we need
no, then-
communism.
No, then we'll just tax the hell out of the automation, right?
The other
I
thing
mean,
is that
Will we?
why not?
Because the U.S. gang won't do that. Because fucking
Okay,
money.
yeah, but you
Because
guys,
the U.S. is retarded.
I'll be smart. My country will be smart.
Yeah, my country, Belgium, will be smart. No, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, where are all
Sure.
these people gonna work if like
They don't have
there's
to
no more
necessarily.
McDonald's?
dude,
jobs?
hashtag learn to
they
code.
won't-
That's all I'm saying. Like
They
That's
won't necessarily have to work though, you know.
Wait, why?
this
But
is
they
why
need
Dom's
money.
proposing a UBI.
Oh,
where
you're
the
talking about
government
if
just hands them money.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's-
essentially,
But
yeah.
no. But I'm saying like if the U.S. keeps going and doesn't like if Bernie isn't elected and we keep
Yeah.
doing the whatever gang.
Well, it's fine. You'll
And
just
then-
turn dystopian. You'll have people on the streets starving. It's fine.
That's what
It's
That's
grand.
what I'm thinking. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure we are on
Yep.
the same page.
It's grand.
So
And then they can't afford to go to college, and then it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. You'll
Right.
just continue the
And
past
then the
like
U.S.
40
will just
years
get
of,
shitty, and then we all have to go to Mars because fuck the
It'll-
U.S. and fuck the
it'll-
planet because global warming. We're all
it'll
done.
just be
Nuke
like,
the planet. Fuck it. World
Just
War.
be 40 years of neoliberalism successfully worked
Damn,
out.
we're gonna have a
So-
lot.
correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't the USSR institute something where like they would choose what job you'd have, like based on like what skills you have?
That's
I feel like that would be probably the best idea.
Well, yeah, there was a point in. I mean, it depends. Like there was a point in Russia's history when essentially a lot of people didn't get to choose their jobs. This was like to the run up of World War II, where essentially they realized that okay, all these capitalist countries really want to fuck with us. We have to industrialize as quickly as possible. Where essentially, yeah, they kind of just they brought a lot
Was
of the
this during the 5-year plan type beat?
Yeah, this was all the 5-year plans. They essentially
Mm.
like took all the peasants who probably happily lived in the countryside. Well, probably not happily. I mean, living in the countryside in Russia
definitely
is
not
pretty fucking
happily.
miserable.
If they're working at Costco, they'd be
they-
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they introduced tractors into the countryside and industrialized it a bit. Essentially, they collectivized it, right? The state took control, and which allowed a lot of the peasants that lived in the countryside to move to the cities to work in factory jobs, you know, making steel, mining coal, stuff like that, so they could actually industrialize and turn into a first world country. Because before that, they were essentially a third world country, right? They were comparable to China or India at that point. You know,
And
like
then they
just
beat
farmers.
Germany in steel production. So
Yeah, and then at one point they beat most European countries in steel production, and they became a world
Yeah.
superpower. You know,
So like
Let's do that.
I'm just saying, like, perhaps the economy of the United States would benefit if we like abolished like liberal studies or English majors.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you could probably. I mean, that's what Bernie Sanders is already suggesting, right? Like a
He's
federal
suggesting
job-
that we
a
abolish
federal-
liberal studies from the
No,
fucking
no,
colleges.
no. Sorry, no. He like
Oh,
this goes
God.
back to the like what are they going to do in the jobs? Like that's
Yeah.
why that's why Bernie Sanders wants to introduce a federal jobs guarantee, right? Where essentially you have a solution to the dual problems of inflation and unemployment, right? So you get full employment and price stability, and you essentially
And then we
compete
get
with
three
other-
bitches whose job it is to like fucking stare at paint dry.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the United States could use a lot of labor to improve its infrastructure, right? Like imagine if the United States spent instead of that $1 trillion a year, oh well, it's not 1 trillion, but it's almost $1 trillion a year on the military. They could instead halve the military and spend 500 billion on a federal jobs program, which helps Americans improve America's infrastructure.
Oh, I have a really good idea. Hear me out. What if okay. So what if we spent $137 trillion on infrastructure?
Yo,
Why that number? Where's that number coming from?
Because that's what Bernie Sanders wants to spend on healthcare.
In 10
Oh,
years.
right. In 10 years? So
No,
how
it's,
much
it's
is
healthcare plus some other things plus the normal
right.
yearly trillion.
I think it's probably like all his plans
But
put together.
isn't the caveat of that instead of you spending $11,000 per capita on healthcare, it would actually drop to 5,000, but you would be instead spending that money in taxes?
Yeah, the thing is, the average person, like, there's no denying, the average person probably would pay less for their healthcare.
Overall money, right?
Right.
Mhm.
It would cost less for the individual, but the
Sure.
government is still going to have to spend trillions and trillions of dollars that it currently doesn't have. Like
Of
more
course,
money that currently exists in the entire world to make Bernie's healthcare dreams a reality. And
Well,
so
I
what that's
think
gonna
that
lead to is like fucking
I
tripling the debt
I
for like
actually
the third year in a row.
I actually read Bernie Sanders and a lot of the other candidates' healthcare studies. And the thing about healthcare is that you can't really, and I've seen a lot of different ones coming from different people. And the reality is we don't really know how much it's going to cost before we implement, right? So a lot of these guesstimates calculate like within them all the copay and deductions that wouldn't exist under Bernie's plan, right? Or they don't take into account like the pharmaceutical costs that would drop because the government would be able
Holy
to,
shit. There's
What?
only $37 trillion in circulation right now. What
Bernie's
the
plan
fuck?
costs 50
What the
trillion. Yeah, we know.
well,
In,
okay, yeah, but
in
but-
2008 it was 4.
but-
What the fuck?
but
That's
I'm not even
fucking nothing.
but I'm not even
That's
sure
crazy.
if like wait, let me find the study actually that seemed to
Well,
make the most sense to me.
Jesus Christ.
I get
that's
that
crazy
the
as fuck.
costs are like ambiguous for healthcare for a variety of reasons, but
Yeah.
it's like we can pretty reliably calculate a few of Bernie's other plans like free college and a jobs
Sure.
guarantee and all that. Like we
Yeah.
know that's going to cost like tens of trillions, which we don't.
I mean,
have.
yeah, of course it's going to cost a lot of money and you're going to pay it through taxes, right? That's
Well,
the
no,
whole
you
intent.
can't pay
if
10
there's
trillion through
not-
taxes because that doesn't even
Yeah.
exist. Like we're just going to be printing
And-
money
yeah.
and go into hyperinflation.
Yeah.
Well, I've also read some stuff about like modern monetary theory that there's
Uh-oh.
like a certain amount of printing money that you can do before inflation starts to kick in.
I don't fuck with hyperinflation, dog. I don't take risks with that shit.
The point is that there's countries that do supply a lot of money into their economy, like China, and they only have 2% inflation. You know, like China prints around 12% of China has 12% increases in printing of money each year, and their inflation is only 2%, because certain economies can take in like a lot of printing of money, basically. Like they
Guess
can
how
have,
much? Guess how much total circulation of money there is in the U.S. right now?
as in like physical paper money, or
Yeah,
as
$5
in,
trillion.
physical. Huh?
okay,
5 trillion.
1.5.
That's because not a lot of
Shit.
people actually carry physical money, right? Like most money is
What?
just like numbers online.
Well, I mean, if you I feel like a lot of people who
Like,
aren't that wealthy
most-
use paper money.
Well,
I
they
could be
use
wrong.
paper money, Jackson, but like most of your money is in a bank
It's,
account
like,
that's
in a
like
bank
just numbers.
account.
And like
Yeah.
even in
Right.
banks,
All the money
it's
is
not
in
like they have
banks
just
and
like
shit.
money. It's not like they
Yeah.
just have like big safes.
Well, then
with,
where's
like,
all the
stacks
money
of
in like a random? Is it in like
Well,
that
Jackson,
one
the
safe
point is,
somewhere?
they loan your money. Like if
I
everyone was
know.
that,
I know how banks work.
Okay, yeah, but if everyone was simultaneously going to go to the bank and ask their money back, the
They wouldn't
banks
get
would
it.
be
I
able
know,
to.
I know, I know, I
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
why you
but then
should not.
where's
You
all
should
the
not trust
physical
banks.
money? Is it in like Fort Knox or what's going?
I think it's in my
Well-
fucking backyard, buried underground.
I
In
mean,
a
the
time
point
capsule.
is most people don't have their physical money. They just have a number.
No,
They
I
just
know
have a
it's
piece of number
100% true. I
online.
haven't. I've never used physical currency here. That's 100% a lie. That's 100% a lie. I definitely did like twice
Yeah.
for like some food because they only take cash. But other than
Oh.
that, I just use my telephone. Beep boop.
Yeah,
So,
I use my debit card. So
do you think we'll
Yeah.
ever? Yeah. Same type beat. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where like?
let me find the study that was.
I guess I'll
Go on. You go on there. Go on.
So do you ever think so? Like I went to I was in South Korea. Next thing you know, there's like zero paper money ever. Like they like 70 or 80% or 90 is like fucking through banks and shit. Do you think we'll ever get
Yeah.
to a point in the US where there's just zero?
Well,
Like
like,
it's all numbers.
I
like
mean,
China
that's
has
100
like
China
I
as
forget what the
well.
fuck they have like fucking WeChat where they just fucking
WeChat, which is money.
yeah, yeah.
just
And
like
it's like
I mean, because paper money is a really bad way. Because
I agree.
paper money is a really bad way of storing value because people can lose their money. People can burn
I
their
agree.
money.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
It like if you burn your money, you're taking away money from the economy, basically.
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Correct.
That's why it's illegal in most cases to deface or like destroy money.
Yeah.
Oh, is it illegal to burn money?
I
Really?
think people forget a lot of the times that paper money isn't just something that you
Holy
can
shit.
use to. Paper money isn't something that you can just use to trade with other people to get
Yeah,
goods
you
and
can
services.
invest it. You can.
It's an actual value of the
Yeah.
economy that you're holding in your hand. And if you start like if a billionaire burns $50 billion in money, right? That's $50 billion that you took away from other Americans as well, right? Because
Yeah, medium exchange, unit of account, store value, bada bing, bada boom. Bro, I didn't know it was fucking illegal to burn money in the US.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
crazy.
I feel like it's in
I feel like I've
several
burnt money.
countries.
yeah,
No, you definitely have.
It's
think a
in
lot of
most
people
countries because probably some people have, but I mean it's really bad because you're taking away money from the
Yeah,
economy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
burning $100, that money could have been spent improving. shit.
100%. That's correct. Yeah. Damn,
Yep.
bro, that's crazy. But
Remember
it's
back
not
in,
illegal. Wait.
Germany where like they used to like burn money for like to heat their houses.
Yeah, but that's
That's awesome.
that's
I think
because
that's Venezuela right now.
Bernie
because-
wants us to take us back in those days and just
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
like
yeah.
hyperinflation again.
wants to turn it into Germany.
Yeah.
But you are
uh,
allowed to burn the American flag. That's good to know.
Thank fucking God.
Gang.
Because
good shit.
1929 was definitely like socialism and not capitalism, which caused
No,
the
the
crash. in
hyperinflation is hyperinflation, whether it was caused by Nazi Germany or fucking Bernie Sanders.
Well, hyperinflation was caused. Hyperinflation was caused by the stock markets in the United States. That's capitalism that caused hyperinflation.
Well, it's also caused by fucking spending all
Retard
of the money
banks,
from
yeah.
taxpayers 10 times over when you don't have it.
Yeah, but the issue was that everyone got unemployed in Germany and that they had to print money, otherwise people would start to starve.
Well, they did start to starve anyway because it fucking
Yeah.
fucked the money. So what are you gonna do? Like,
I don't know. Either
I
you
guess print money.
Yeah, you print money and try and fight hyperinflation. That's at least better than not printing money and having everyone starve.
That's like me getting a cut, like a fucking. It's like me breaking my arm and like putting a band-aid on. It's like at least I'm fucking putting a band-aid on my arm, even though it's still fucking broken.
yeah.
So then
but,
you gotta.
Well, no, it's not the same. It's like one is the person is alive and the other one is the person's fucking dead because they
No,
just,
but either way, people suffer.
yeah, either way people suffer,
Okay.
but in one they survive and in the other they die. There's a distinct difference between surviving and
mean,
dying.
Yeah,
Right?
that's actually a very good point. Except unless you're over 60, then it's the same.
yeah. I forgot.
Uh,
Everyone die. If you're over 60, you fucking die. Drop dead.
yeah, everyone listening.
Literally, please. You're a fucking strain on the economy.
Where is this
Know
fucking
your
study
worth.
that I'm looking for?
I don't know. I don't study that, bro.
Yeah, I once saw a study that said 13%. Oh shit, we don't go
Yeah.
there.
One time I saw a female pissing on the floor like that, except not a fart truck. That was an eye opener. That's when I realized I want to work at Costco.
I don't know, bro.
bitches pissing on the floor over there.
I beg to differ, buddy. I've seen a lot, and maybe at Sam's Club.
That's
they do
why
that
we
shit.
should
I
go.
don't fucking- yeah.
Yo, the best part about if we both work at Costco, we could shit on Sam's Club.
Fuck Sam's
Because you
Club.
need to.
Just run
you
over there
know-
on the weekends and like trash the place.
Because you know there's gangs like between
Yeah,
Costco and
They
Sam's
definitely
Club.
are.
Like,
It's like the Bloods and the Crips.
yeah.
The Bloods and the
Dude, you
Crips.
can't go near the Sam's Club, bro. You'll get
Nah.
fucking shot. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. I do like. I always think about how like living together would just be so fucking
That
efficient
would
if
be
we all
really fun.
like. Why don't
And
people?
efficient.
Why don't people do that? Is it just because they want to have their fucking
Smart
like
people
wife
do.
and
Smart
kids?
people too.
Yeah.
Smart people
The
what?
fucking hype house on TikTok, is that what
No.
you're about to bring up?
The hype house people are saving the bag, bro. No, but like, Dom, the one of the YouTubers I sent you, he rents with 2 other people, and he pays like $400 a month for like a full house.
That's fine, but do you understand why it's fucked up that landlords
fucked up?
that landlords are essentially forcing us to live with more people in the house while they get to continue increasing rent prices,
They're not
whereas
forcing you to live with
don't.
more people.
Why are they
well,
forcing
yeah,
you?
because 20 or 30 years ago it was a lot cheaper to live like alone by yourself. Like, you
Okay,
could probably,
20, 30 years ago, I could buy a fucking bar of chocolate for $0.01. What, like?
That's facts.
but that's taking into account inflation, Jax.
Yeah. So is whatever you're saying. Actually,
Yeah.
it's not. Actually, it is because inflation, gang. I don't see your
Yeah,
point.
My point is that it was a lot more. It was easier to live
What?
and a lot less costlier back then.
He does have a point, but also I don't know.
But
I feel like
but,
I feel like you can't blame the
no,
landlords.
I
I don't
agree
know.
with that. But like, why?
I can't partially blame the landlords because they're not offering anything other than, oh, I hold this piece of paper that says I own this land, and because I have a monopoly on this land, I get to charge you more money because I have a
Well,
monopoly.
it's not like
No,
there's
it's
one
not like they
landlord for
can-
every town.
yeah.
Like you
It's
can
not
go
like
to
there's
another.
one
No,
landlord that-
of course not. But they all own, like, if there's obviously not one person that owns all the land. But if the land ownership gets concentrated, then housing prices tend to increase.
Yeah, but if one landlord's like, okay, I'm gonna charge you more because this is my land, and then there's like a fucking house next door that's half as cheap, it's like, okay, I'm obviously not living here.
Well,
Like,
what Dom's saying, I think he's arguing against like a monopolization of the
of
housing
the land,
industry,
all the
which
okay.
is like kind of a separate issue because I feel like
Right.
in most cases that's not the case.
That's definitely not the case.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's partially the case, I would argue. I mean, I think the biggest issue is, the biggest issue is more that the state has simply refused to build housing as well alongside landlords.
Well, we have way too many houses, and like we have like 2 houses for fucking like every person in the United States. That's not a true
I know,
statistic.
and
but
well, I know that there's enough housing in the empty housing in the United States to house like
But
all
people
the
can't
homeless
afford it.
people several times over, but people can't afford it because of, the value of the house or the value of the land of the house.
well,
So
right,
you're
but
arguing that
landlords need to make money though. Like that's the thing. Like everybody's got to like it's
Yeah,
landlord's
okay,
not going to
but-
give money to people who
I
can't
know,
like
but
fucking afford to live there.
But landlords are
I think
the Paris, like, are there's I have not found a single good argument for landlords. I can
My
make an
fucking dad's a
Dom-
landlord, bro.
yeah, my
Square-
dad's
square the
landlord,
fuck
too.
up.
Okay,
landlord
but
gang, Alec fist bump.
landlord gang.
But I can make an argument for like capitalists existing. I cannot make an argument for landlords existing. They don't.
I mean,
they don't
That's
add
literally
any. They,
that's
they
side
don't
by
add
side,
any.
though.
They don't add any value.
Except bitches
Here's the thing,
move
here's the
in
thing.
and make money.
I'm about to pwn you guys with some anecdotal evidence.
Oh, here we go.
So
Yes,
what my
bro.
dad does is that like he'll go to a house that's like fucking shite, and then
then he'll
and then,
repair
like-
it or whatever.
and then he'll pay to renovate it because poor people
Yeah.
don't have the money to renovate it, and then he'll get
Yeah.
like rent it out to poor people who
Really
can now
cheap.
live in a nice house.
Yo.
Sure, but the
Yeah.
state can do that as well, right?
And with
Okay,
my
so you're
taxpayer
arguing-
money that I don't want to fucking spend. That's the
That's
thing.
Sure.
fair. That's fair.
But the state.
And
can simply,
there's 2 really good points here, and I don't know which one to side with.
Mine.
All right, I'll side with
but
yours.
this, but this, like it ends up being a lot better for most people if the state simply does that instead of the landlord, because the landlord will
Not be able
essentially,
to do that out of huge.
because the landlord will take like a profit out of it, right? He'll increase the rent so he can live off of it. Whereas
So
Well, the
profits
government-
are
so you're
profits are
saying-
inherently bad is essentially Dom's argument.
Wait,
Well,
so
no,
Dom,
but
you're
it-
saying
it
the
is-
government
it is in
won't take
terms of-
profit if they do that?
well, they don't have to.
Okay, but I
They-
feel like
they
they
can-
will
they
if they
can-
do that. There's no way the
Why?
government will. So
The government
I just
already
can't imagine
the
the government fucking making houses and then not taking a
but-
profit.
but they
Like
already-
if they do that, they're
they
gonna.
already
They
do.
already do. It's
They
like
already
public
do
works
that.
projects. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Ah.
state housing.
Yep.
Oh,
like-
state housing, right?
I lived in a state house in Slovakia where I was simply paying for the value of the house, not for the value of the land, essentially.
Oh wait,
Um,
so what is?
Well, the
Oh.
difference is that I had to pay a lot less because I don't have to pay for some greedy landlord to have to live off of my rent money.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Yeah, Alec,
Anyway, even
Oh, yeah,
even
yeah.
even Adam Smith, the most capitalist man on earth, agrees with me on this one.
Yo, if Adam Smith agrees with Dom, I have to go on Dom's side then. But also,
I
here's the
mean,
thing, Dom.
it's true.
Like,
have you?
no,
Like
what I'm saying is that like either way, whether you're paying the government rent or my fucking dad, you're still
Yeah.
paying rent. Like, you know.
Right.
Of course, but I don't have an issue necessarily with paying rent. I have an issue with landlords. You have to pay rent not only like for the actual value of the house and the upkeep of the house, but you're also paying rent so that the landlord can live off of you, right? The landlord
No, but
offers no value other than
We've been over this. They
no.
offer value, plenty of value.
Okay,
no,
yeah.
But Dom, here's the
But
thing.
your argument is that they offer value if they renovate the house, which is fine. But there's plenty of landlords that don't
Wait,
renovate
Dom,
the house. They
Dom,
actually
when
hire.
you say that the landlord lives off the money,
Yeah.
do you think that so like they get the rent and then they only live off that and they don't have a different job, or that is their job?
Well,
And they
there's a
just
lot
have
of
a ton of
landlords.
properties, right?
There's a
Okay,
lot
I
of
see
landlords
your
that
point.
just have a ton of
Just
properties,
a ton of property
right?
and they can live off
I-
their profit. I
I
understand.
I don't necessarily have an issue with people who own property and want to rent it out to someone else so that they can like offset I don't know,
You just
like
have a problem
property
with
tax.
like the people who have like a shit ton of property
Yeah.
and then can just live off their
I have a
their money.
serious issue with
That's a good
of
point.
landlords, or in Dublin it's not even landlords, it's essentially like real estate companies that own like hundreds of houses and
That's
have
true.
mini monopolies on certain
That
areas in Dublin.
Yeah,
And
Dublin is actually really like really worse than the US.
it's dog
'Cause
shit.
it's
It's horrendous.
I think it's
This is what
because literally Dublin's the only place like that's a huge
Well,
city and other than like
But
fucking
yeah,
whatever.
but the issue is also that land as a commodity,
It's
it's
really
finite,
expensive there.
right?
Yeah.
It's finite.
Right.
It
Yeah,
runs
in
out.
cities,
Especially
like,
in fucking Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm sure that like in New York, the
Yeah,
housing market's
definitely
much worse
fucked.
than Dublin. Like, it's just big cities.
I don't know about that.
It's not necessarily big cities. There's plenty of big cities that provide
I don't know if
plenty
the
of
housing is
plenty
worse
of
in New
state
York.
housing.
Dublin is pretty
I'm pretty
fucking
sure
expensive.
the capital of New Zealand,
Auckland.
fucking Auckland. That it's a pretty heavily dense area, and they provide state housing, and it's actually really cheap to live there.
Yeah.
Actually, the best example of this is
Singapore.
Iceland.
Oh, fuck.
Iceland. So Reykjavik, right, is the capital of Iceland.
Did you say Reykjavik, brother? Come on.
I don't
It's
know how to
Reykjavik,
pronounce
bro.
it.
You got
Is
it. Yeah, I think I'm guessing, bro.
Okay, shut up.
It's Reykjavik.
Nah,
Reykjavik?
Reykjavik.
Oh, that's so gay.
That's the
There's
American
no way.
pronunciation. Can I get an Icelandic one?
Jesus.
Eddie.
Reykjavik. That's what this bitch said.
All right. Anyway, in Singapore, they do this thing where they have like 80% of all housing in Singapore is government
It's state
housing.
owned, yeah. Oh,
And what they
I just
do
heard
is that
about
they.
that.
Yeah, I was just.
Did
I
you
was
watch
just
Rogan's
listening.
podcast?
Yo, fuck no way. This
let's
guy watched the
go.
podcast.
Yes,
Dude.
I
Let's
watched
go.
it too.
Let's go.
We
Melissa
need to
Ken,
talk.
bro.
We need to
Melissa
talk
Ken.
about Singapore.
Yo, we fucking
Yeah.
yes,
Go.
dude.
You go.
Excellent
go,
cat. So basically, what they do is that the state has. This is what they do, Dom. You're gonna want to listen up and listen good, okay? So what the state does is that that 80% of housing in Singapore is like government housing, right? And so what they do is and they make it really, really nice so that like it's not like it's not like Hong Kong housing where like shit's just poop. It's like really nice housing so that like because most of like Singapore's population is like upper class.
Yeah.
And so like
they're
people are
quite
gonna
rich.
they're gonna have to want to live there.
Yeah, there's a demand
then-
for high value
And what they
housing.
do is that they make it so that there's no ghettos because they like distribute people who are poor in the same housing as people who are rich. And they also distribute it equally racially, so that all the racial demographics match the like actual demographics of the country.
Demographics of the whole country, which is pretty crazy.
Which encourages
So if there's like 40%
assimilation
Asians,
and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then in one building there'll be 40%.
I think that's a really good idea.
I think it's a good idea as well.
That's why I'm a big proponent of state housing in general.
But then they would have to also like.
I really dislike private
regulate
housing. I really dislike it. I just think it's really unaffordable for most millennials who don't own land. And people who own land, they're lucky because they don't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money of rent to live off that land. But if the state owns that land, then
well, that's just why you just fucking buy instead of renting. Like it's not something like crime against humanity.
but you're still buying the land value, right? So you're still
Yeah.
buying like for exorbitant amounts of money.
Yes, buying is crazy.
And then, but then here's the thing, Dom. You make money off of it when you sell it. Like at the end of the day.
Sure, but
Depends,
ultimately,
yeah.
I don't necessarily want to become a capitalist. Maybe I just want to live.
Yeah.
Okay, then just buy a house and fucking live there for a while.
I know, but if it's unaffordable, like for example, right? Iceland, the capital, Reykjavik, or however
Yeah.
the hell you pronounce it.
Hmm.
They have a lot of state housing there as well, where
Is it good?
where essentially Iceland is a pretty expensive country to live in because a lot of people make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
But guess what?
What?
The average house, Reykjavik,
Yeah.
costs €600 a month rent.
Okay, is that a lot or no?
No, that's nothing. It's absolutely nothing.
Really?
€600 a month?
That's a lot. What are you talking
I'm
about?
paying like 400 next month.
Yeah, like
For a house. That's the average for a house.
Oh, that's true.
Shit,
Oh,
that's
that's-
fucked up.
And it's Iceland because Icelandic people tend to make a lot more money, right? Like everything. Do you understand how
Yeah.
how that
Yeah,
works?
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
understand
That's
how
crazy.
how in Dublin things are more expensive because people make more money there, like in the sense that like food is more expensive and stuff compared to India.
Dude, food is retarded in Ireland. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
because
want
more
to.
people.
Literally,
because a lot of
bottles
people
of
make
water
food.
cost like €5. Like, are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
fucking gay? Like, get out of my face.
But do you understand that if you make the basics really, really cheap, like housing and basic necessities like electricity, internet, and food and stuff like that, that you'll end up having a lot more happier people because those people can survive, right? They don't have to worry about surviving. They can actually worry about, doing what they like to do. Because in Dublin, for example, you're forced to do a you're forced to work a job that might be really stressful but pays a lot so that you can live in Dublin. Whereas if you live in a
Wait,
city,
why? Why would you be?
well, because
I mean,
otherwise you can't
because
survive, right?
right. Okay, sure, but yeah.
And
Also,
my point is that if you live in a city that has the basic necessities be really cheap, then you could do something like you're saying, work at Costco,
Yes.
and
Right.
instead enjoy your life, right?
Or-
Is there,
or check
someone
this
look
out.
up Costco in Iceland.
We can go one step further. If you don't want to
let's
do that,
go.
you can just move and live off the
To
land.
Vietnam.
Oh,
Yeah.
that too.
Live off the land.
That's what I was
Straight
gonna
up.
tell Dom. It was very funny. You live
We
the land.
Dom,
Just
Jackson
like
and I
crap.
on the Chicago trip, Dom, you're coming with us. We're
Yeah.
gonna bail out like halfway through, and then just start driving into the countryside. And once
You
we run
want to
out of gas,
actually? You want to
we're just
actually
living
try
off the
that?
land. Yes. As soon as we run out of gas, we're
We
getting
would
out of
not.
the car,
We would
walking
not
into
last.
my.
I don't think we'd last 3 days.
False.
I think we'd last probably 5. If we
we
had
should
like a
try
bag of
for
Cheerios
2
with us.
weeks.
Yeah.
We should get some seeds.
It requires
some
a
seeds.
lot of. It requires a lot of energy to survive off of land.
Nah,
I mean,
ain't shit.
there's a reason why like Chinese people for decades had famine rates of like 20-30% every year because it's just miserable having to live off the land and it's not a guarantee of survival,
And that is why we support GMOs. Am I right, my brothers?
Yes. Okay. So now we're gonna
Let's
talk
go.
about. So there has
Now we're
not been a
talking-
single person who's died from GMOs, ever.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a pretty big fan of GMOs. I don't.
Yes. Okay. I'm actually to all the liberals in the audience who are listening, if you don't support GMOs, no, stop laughing. This isn't funny. If you don't support GMOs,
kind of
then
funny.
you support the starvation of the third world. Like objectively speaking, right? GMOs have lifted millions, if not billions, I almost said trillions, of people out of poverty. Okay, and not out of poverty, but like lifted them from starvation, right? And like the liberals will argue that like GMOs that make plants immune to like pesticides mean that more people are spraying pesticides on plants. Well, guess what? The GMOs make it so the plants are immune from them, right? And if you wash your
So
fucking
who
apples,
fucking cares?
and so if you wash your fucking apples, the food's not damaged, and you're not damaged,
Sure.
and everybody fucking wins.
There is an
So-
argument. There is an argument to be made about being very careful with how much GMO food that you do have in your environment because it's very hard to measure the impact that it's going to have
future.
on the nature.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, there's an example. I can't remember what it was, but there's an example of corn basically, and it was basically GMO engineered that insects couldn't eat the corn. But what happened was the insects died, all the birds died in the environment, and everything
Right.
basically died. Right. So
Yeah.
the whole entire ecosystem died around it. So we have to be. I do agree that GMOs tend to be good because they tend to make sure that we have more food.
Right.
which is always a good thing.
It
But
just long term might like make some
yeah,
ecosystems be
yeah,
retarded.
we need to be really careful about the long-term effects of GMO food, basically.
Because like if no animals can eat the plants, there's no animals, and then there's no us.
Well, if
Yeah.
animals are eating my damn plants, I don't want them eating my damn plants. Like that's mine.
Well, see, the
Dumbass.
thing is, if you don't want them eating your plants, then they're not going to eat anything, and they're going to die, and then we can't.
Fine
eat
by
them,
me, as
so.
long as they don't eat my.
Then what are you
fucking
going to
corn.
eat? Fucking corn all day? You don't want to eat cow anymore? What about
Yes.
bacon? Bacon's so good.
Nah, dude.
All right. Well, I guess so. Now that's why we need to talk about going vegetarian. Am I right?
Oh, actually, so here's the
Heyo.
thing. Like, if you think about, well, first of all, if you're vegetarian, like, it's not like you're gonna prevent them from making more fucking cows.
Yeah.
But also, the thing is, like, it is such like a shitty like it just wastes so much space and like fucking water
does?
to raise a cow. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about, like, I'm sure you
beef-
guys have heard all the statistics, but
Beef
it's
is
just like fuck.
beef is
Yeah.
horrendous, just environmentally. Because I mean, think
I've had
about
It's
it.
pretty good.
You're essentially
This dude
You're
has never had a hamburger. Like, they taste fucking bomb, dude.
I had
you're
one for dinner.
you're
Me
essentially
too.
having to feed like 10 human beings, like, for just one like cow, right?
Just
And
get the 60-year-olds out there.
Yeah, death to 60-year-olds.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
I still eat meat myself, but
Yeah,
I don't
'cause shit
eat.
tastes
I
good.
don't eat red meat anymore, or at least I don't eat any beef.
Damn.
Okay, so
really?
why would you
Yeah.
even eat meat at that point? Like,
Well,
you eating
because
fucking fish or something?
I still eat chicken.
That's
and,
retarded.
and I still enjoy the taste. I still enjoy the taste of chicken, and it's not that environmentally bad. It's still obviously.
I would argue it's still pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, but it's not that bad. That much more. It's nothing compared to eating cows, right?
Yeah.
Like, ideally, I would become fucking vegan, right?
Mhm.
But that takes a lot more effort and willpower. And for now, I'm just gonna.
And
have
then
to
also
deal with...
you just get made fun of by me, probably. So,
well,
cannot
I
have
don't know. I might make it to vegan one day, but for now, I'm trying my best not to eat like red meat or like beef and stuff like that. And maybe I'll make the jump to vegetarian at some point, and maybe I'll even make the jump to vegan at some point. But for now, no beef for me sounds like a good deal.
See,
Damn.
like, the thing is that like in like developing countries like India and China, like, they're becoming more and more reliant on meat, and so it's just
Yeah.
like, in the long run, it's just gonna be more meat
Well,
being produced. Like,
Yeah.
India,
no
is
matter
a
what the
really-
Western world
India
does.
is an excellent example of a country that's almost entirely vegetarian.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's a bad example.
Really?
Because they're fucking Hindu.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Because
worship cows.
because they're
and shit.
Hindu. They worship cows,
Oh.
and so they don't eat a lot of meat either. They're actually primarily vegetarian.
That's true. I did not eat meat when I was there, so
Yeah.
Definitely had some curry,
so
though.
therefore, no Indians eat meat. 'cause
therefore no,
Yeah,
not
because
one Indian.
it's part of the Hindu religion to
Yeah, no.
avoid hurting other life forms, basically. So vegetarianism is almost the standard, basically, in India.
Did you know it's part of my religion to buy the new iPhone every year? So
Yeah, I
fuck
heard
you.
about that.
All right, can I tell you guys some fun facts about Singapore?
Go ahead.
All right, number 1, you cannot buy chewing gum in Singapore.
Yeah, everybody knows that, bro. Fuck.
Really?
All right,
Why?
number 2. Well, Dom didn't because he said really. I don't
Is
know.
it
Well, Dom's
bad?
retarded.
It's bad for the environment or something?
No,
I
it's
don't
just because
know,
it
actually.
makes their sidewalks unclean, and they have this very like high
Oh,
standard
yeah.
for public health.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's what I meant.
Also, you can't eat or drink on public transportation. Isn't that crazy? Imagine not being
I
able
feel
to
like
eat.
I
Like,
feel like
That makes
that's
sense.
that's the case for a lot of places in the United States.
That's-
Like,
I
you
think-
couldn't
I
you
think
couldn't
you're-
eat on the fucking
yeah,
rapid if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
yeah.
I
think you're
did.
allowed to.
I had a
think you're not
burger
allowed
on it.
to- I
Well,
know,
you
but you're-
fucking
you're
broke
not
the
allowed
rules,
to.
bro.
Yeah,
Bro,
you're not
I'm
allowed
I'm
fucking
legitimately
rules.
reporting you to the GRPD right now.
to.
All right, I'm a-
Fuck.
Dude, I'm gonna go on the run. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna move to the UK.
Actually, you know what? I want to do a bit more research on Indian food and stuff, because
I know.
their food is really delicious,
Joking.
and it's vegetarian at the same time.
Yeah, it is
so,
very good. Indian food's some
um,
shit, bro.
I think the key really is that vegetarian food does, like, as long as it's not bland and you add a lot of spice and stuff, it's good. It's just like, I need to figure out how to make Indian food.
Yeah.
I should call up Priya, bro. I should have her fucking teach me how to make Indian.
Shut up, Priya. All right, let's do more fun facts.
Did you know that Singapore is one of the only countries that was formed a country because it got kicked out of Malaysia,
I
like
did
on,
not know
without
that.
without
They
its
got
own
kicked
accord.
out.
Why'd they get
Because
kicked out?
it had to do with like politics and shit, and there was like Singapore has always been like a very multicultural city, and Malaysia was back in the day like very
Like an
conservative.
ethno state.
Yeah, right. And so they were just like, should we try to incorporate this city and like just control the population there, or
Yeah.
should we just fucking kick them out? And they
It
decided to
seems
do
to
it
have
just
been
be
a
easier
really
to-
bad idea because Singapore's a
Doing really good now, yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
economy and stuff like that.
Well, so the fact that you say that means that you support capitalism, but I'll let that slide.
Well, there's arguments to be made for a Singapore-style capitalist system, but I do still have criticism with Singapore. I don't think it's perfect. I mean,
I think it
you
is
can-
perfect.
Did you know
Like
there's-
it's definitely like the best country in the
Yeah.
fucking world.
No, I think
No,
the
I don't know, 'cause
Scandinavian- I think
there's,
the
like, that-
Scandinavian. I think the Scandinavian countries are still. far
Isn't there like
superior.
death penalties for like doing like
Exactly.
what
That's why I
No.
support the country. You
Wait,
fucking
what's Singapore death pen? No,
Oh, they
but
definitely
what
have like drug trafficking. Like if you traffic.
Oh
like,
yeah,
fucking-
it's like if
even,
you
like,
have
even, like,
marijuana, you
marijuana,
get
yeah,
like
you're
killed,
dead.
right?
You're
Like
dead.
that's
Yeah,
not good. I don't like that.
Their human rights is pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't like
Um,
that at all. That's really shitty.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. That's fucked
Yeah.
up. Imagine getting killed for having marijuana. Like that's
That'd be fucking hilarious.
no.
Imagine
No,
just,
I
like-
know a lot of people who'd be dead right now.
Yeah, I know a couple myself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's forbidden to build high buildings in Singapore.
I doubt that.
Higher
They got
than
some fucking
higher than
skyscrapers.
280 meters, which is really fucking high.
Just
but-
really high.
That is
Yeah,
really
this
high.
isn't. This is just fucking lying to my ass. That's 1,000 feet, bro. Get off my dick.
I have an issue with Singapore and more about its like educational system because it tends to it really it's really bad in the sense that if you're from a higher socioeconomic status, you go to a better school and those better schools almost guarantee you to do well in life in Singapore. Whereas if you go to a worse school, you're actually a lot less
The
better
way I
off.
think it should work is that like if you go to a bad school, it should put you in a better situation, and if you go to a good school, you should just be fucked. That's what Dom thinks.
Well, it's not about that, but you should ultimately try and improve it for everybody, right? You shouldn't
Yeah, I know.
like you're essentially turning into a caste system over, you know.
India gang.
I don't know. I still think that like Scandinavian countries where you have high taxation but relatively fluid labor markets and high social security nets is still the best way to go
You want to know another fun fact?
because it truly allows for you know, meritocracy to flourish. You know, where someone puts in effort and they actually do get the results out of it, and people aren't too much privileged or underprivileged because of their socioeconomic status.
What's a fun fact?
1 out of every 6 Singaporean households have more than $1 million in.
Oh yeah,
That's
and then the
pretty
other thing is
fucked
that like everybody has maids over there, just because
Yeah,
like
just
they have this.
Because
They
they're
have
so
this like
rich.
what they have is that
No,
they
not
have
because they're so rich, but it's because it doesn't cost.
Oh.
a lot.
they
Oh,
have
really?
like they have like the opposite of like unemployment. They have like fucking like overemployment where like
Right.
everybody in
Oh.
Singapore
Everybody is
has to have a
working.
job. Like they don't have
Sure.
to, but like everybody
Yeah,
has
they
a
have
job.
one.
There's like not enough people, and so like they just have bitches just like I said, just fucking staring at paint drying and like just cleaning
And
houses
getting
3
paid a
times
lot
day.
of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would like to see full employment. I dislike this idea of having 5 or 6 or 7% unemployment, so that you know laborers have to try and compete with each other, and it's really stressful, and employers get to kind of fuck
Oh.
everyone.
Yo, Singaporeans are the fastest walkers. I think I need to go there because I'm a fucking fast walker.
Yo, I thought it was
Bro, yeah.
Jamaicans, bro.
I be walking with Benny and he's like, bro, why are you walking so fast? And I'm like, I lived in Dublin, bro. That's what I do. I played Pokemon Go for 10 hours a day. Get on my
Damn.
level.
Get on his level, bro.
6.15 kilometers an hour. Is that a lot? What is that?
Nah.
I think it might be. That's 3.7 miles an hour.
I could
Also-
fucking I could triple that if I wanted
like- Also, Singapore's
Then you'd be
economy,
running.
to. I know.
Singapores economy isn't the most sustainable either, because
No minimum wage, gang.
they're getting competitors as well in Asia and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
China's
yeah.
China's probably gonna take their place as like
Well, they've already
Um,
taken their. China's already way more powerful than Singapore
Yeah.
by like 90,000 times.
well, not in the sense it's powerful, but economically they're gonna take.
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, well, yeah. The other thing is that
Should
like
we
a
all
lot
just
of
move
these
to China?
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Then I couldn't do anything online without
Yeah.
being watched.
That would be fucking awesome. We should just like, you know what? Like, what was that guy who like used to do parody videos and now he's like working for the Chinese government and like making like propaganda videos on YouTube?
Who?
You guys haven't heard of this bitch?
What?
Y'all motherfuckers haven't heard of this? God damn. Hold
I heard the
tight.
guy who got plastic surgery to be a K-pop star. I don't
No,
know if
no,
that's
no.
it.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I can't find his name. I think it's like Bart Baker or something, but like,
Bart Baker.
Bard Baker.
yeah, just Google it. I don't have the time. For the resources. Bart Baker Chinese fucking
Oh,
propaganda.
this guy. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
this.
Can you send this to me?
Wait,
as
what
well?
does he do now?
So basically, he just like he went from like making like Taylor Swift like parody videos, and he was like very
No, I don't
popular
think
like in the 2010s.
Is he working for the Chinese government?
And now he's not working for the Chinese government, no, but he's working for like a Chinese company that like
But
that
it's,
like
like,
is sponsoring like
entertainment
Western.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's like a
right.
Chinese entertainment company
Yeah.
that's like
You made it
sponsoring.
sound like he's like working like
No,
labor for.
No, he's not like a fucking like agent for like the CPP.
Yeah,
he-
yeah.
he-
Like,
he's like
just
the CCP.
But it's like
rep.
kind of like a TikTok type beat, like TikTok.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But he
Yeah,
just
that's
makes like
crazy.
he just makes like fucking
He makes,
like
like,
Chinese
song
nationalist
videos, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sings song about like national in China as well, right? In
Yeah.
Chinese, yeah.
I feel like we
Look
could
up
have a
Bart
lot of fun doing that.
Baker. Should we do that instead of Costco?
We should rename our podcast to like the fucking like I don't
The
know.
CCP cast.
C-
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna be like paid by the Chinese government now. We're just gonna be.
Yeah.
Bro, we went
Awesome.
from TDC to CCP, bro. How-
Yo, do you think China government pays TikTok?
I
No, but
I mean,
Bloomberg's paying content creators right now.
Why?
Heard
dude,
about this?
shout out. Oh yeah,
No.
he is. He's
Why?
all
He's
over
paying
YouTube. and shit.
Serious Bank. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
paying Serious Bank for content creators as well, and for memers. He's paying meme
Oh,
content
yeah.
creators to
Oh,
make
shit.
memes about him.
Can we do that, please? I'm gonna call him up.
I think we have
Bit-
to have enough influencers to actually get money for that.
Damn it, that sucks.
And also, I don't know if I want to be complicit in supporting Mike Bloomberg.
I do.
I kind of after
Yeah?
beat a judge, he's my bro.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna leave this in the recording.
Are you just gonna jump from neoliberal candidate to neoliberal
No,
candidate?
I'm only voting for
Literally.
bitches whose last names
Yes.
start with B, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
Biden,
okay.
Bernie, Buttigieg. That's all I
So
got. And
Bernie
Bloomberg.
Sanders, basically.
His last name starts with S. I forgot. Everybody just calls him Bernie. So, I mean, but yeah. Long story short, I'm not gonna vote for fucking Bernie Sanders. Anyway, don't put that in the cast because then I'll get ostracized by the
Yeah.
fucking Bernie Bros and Riley.
By the
Anyway.
Bernie Bros.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut out his last name, but
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Defecation Conversation, the best in the nation. Be sure to follow us on SoundCloud by going to soundcloud.com/defecation conversation. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on the Apple Podcast app by searching for the Defecation Conversation and leave us a review. That being said, we will see you all in next week's episode. Later, defecators.